Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Probably need to work out a better intro, I feel, but it's a nice Sunday morning, about to head out, and to be fair, I wanted to discuss Ian Wright's comments regarding Martinelli and this whole discourse now that has started regarding Martinelli, and just kind of my thoughts on it, because I find it very interesting that we're having this discourse around a player like Martinelli. Now, if you guys didn't hear or see what Ian Wright said, just first of all, to be honest with you, a lot of what Ian Wright says, look, he's an Arsenal legend, obviously before my time, you know, his opinion, a lot of the time I actually tend to disagree. Towards the back end of the season, when we lost to Bournemouth, I believe, he was obviously on that show with Gary Neville, and he actually spoke some stuff that I'm like, okay, I'm quite surprised about what he's saying here. And I feel like ever since he made the comments about Saka playing left back, he kind of got shunned out of Arsenal, but because he's a Adidas ambassador, he gets the kind of links to Arsenal and all these kind of things. But him and along with a lot of Arsenal legends, not even a lot to be fair, him and Martin Keown, I just, whatever they say about Arsenal just kind of falls into deaf ears, because it's clear what their angle is coming from, and I don't tend to agree with it. And this is another example of it. Fantastic players, fantastic player for Arsenal legend, all that. But if we're just basing off his opinion, this is another example where he's just completely off the mark with this one. Gabriel Martinelli, does he feel disrespected? I can then come back to you and say, did Mesut Ozil at Arsenal feel disrespected? Because to me, a player of his quality and of his level, look at how it ended at Arsenal. Look at how much quality and games he bailed us out during the time when we weren't even that great. You know, look at players like Aubameyang. Did he feel disrespected? Okay, let's go a bit further down. Maitland-Niles, when he left Arsenal, Balogun, like Eddie Nketiah, guys. Martinelli, does he feel disrespected? Absolutely the fuck not. He's actually one of the few players within this crop of players within the last 5 to 10 years where he should actually feel grateful of the opportunity that has been given at Arsenal, because granted, he came through number 35 he came from Brazil. We brought him from Brazil, came through at Arsenal, was never really starting at that point. Remember, there was talks about him playing a striker and all these things. He was given and afforded the luxury and development to be nurtured at Arsenal. He came through at a time when we had Saka coming through, ESR, Smith Rowe, who's the other guy? Reece Nelson. Eddie was a little bit after that. Who were the left wingers? Aubameyang occupied the left a few times. I can't remember who our starting left winger was at that time. Was it Aubameyang or Smith Rowe? One of those guys, yeah. He came through that time when it's not like he was the only young player coming through and we were heavily relying on him. He came through when we had basically a sea of young players around him that kind of made him feel comfortable, that kind of made him feel like he's not alone in all of these things. And we had some Brazilian contingencies there. Remember, at the time, we had just signed Gabriel, we had Cedric Soares, granted he's Portuguese, but still Brazilian, Portuguese, whatever. We had Nuno Tavares. So there was a contingency there that made him feel welcome and made him feel comfortable when he was at Arsenal. What has happened is the culture of Arsenal has meant that players like Gabriel Martinelli have felt comfortable to just underperform. This last season, yeah, is not the first season we've seen Martinelli just put out a bar like below par performance across a season. It's happened the season before, the season before, and the season before. This is like 3 to 4 seasons of just mediocre. And what has happened is, yeah, Arsenal haven't successfully identified a left winger for to compete with Martinelli since we brought in Trossard. Like, we should have known that this manager has been trying to get rid of Martinelli for time. If you remember the links with Mudryk a couple years ago, they would end up with Trossard. Now again, the same thing has happened. Martinelli is a product of complacency. That's the be and end all. We're looking at players we're potentially looking to sell. I said at the start of the summer, this summer is looking like we need to sell to buy kind of thing. And looking at all the options that we have, him and Jesus are the most viable players that we need to ship out of this football club. The other options, Jesus, Reece Nelson, and Fabio Vieira, those are the 4 players that we need to ship out this season. Next season completely different. You're looking at players like Kai Havertz and all these guys, but this summer, those 4 players are the ones where you're past your sell-by date regardless. Look at other football clubs in the country, right? Look at Chelsea. Look at Man United. Chelsea just bought Garnacho off United last year for 40 M's. He's on loan to Villa this season. Martinelli has had 4 years to develop. 4 flipping years, guys. He's not even 4. He's been here longer than that. But past that 22-23 season that everyone keeps raving on about, past that season, he has been below par for a good time, guys. And forget about the goals and assists. Okay, cool. He scored about 2 goals last season. Like, you can't be serious and look at me and tell me we should be hosting a winger that scored 2 goals in the league as a starting left winger. Forget even starting, as our backup winger. What? Like, guys, we complain so much about, we need to raise the level of this team. You know, it's all fun and games that Zolis is doing well right now. But it's only a matter of time. If Zolis gets injured, you're back to Martinelli. If Saka gets injured, you're back to Martinelli and Noni as your both wingers. We might have gone away with last season. Will we get away with this season? Probably not. So the fact that Martinelli is out the door and he's been offered to Galatasaray, the club should force their hand and sell him. That's my stance. Sell his ass. He's way too comfortable at Arsenal and it's showing. How do you honestly look at your season last season and the season before and score less than 10 goals and think, yeah, I'm good enough to either be a starting winger at Arsenal or be a backup? Are you all right? Are you actually all right? So no, I don't feel like he's been disrespected. I actually feel like he's been afforded time and luxury that he wouldn't get at any other club. And this is an example of many players at Arsenal where they've been given time that they shouldn't be given. Jesus is another one. He's another one. Fabio Vieira had less than 18 months at Arsenal before he was loaned out to, I think, where was he? Like Porto, and then he ended up at Hamburg. The same with Reece Nelson. Reece Nelson is on a big boy contract and he won't leave. And I think Reece Nelson is even a better player than Martinelli. And he's a Hale End. How comes we're not hearing things about him being disrespected? But Martinelli, God forbid. The guy is rubbish, guys. That is the truth of it. That is the honest answer, and that's the truth of this whole thing. Martinelli is crap, guys. I don't know what else I need to tell you. And if he's our winger option this season coming with Zolis, we're not going to get far because it's only a matter of time until Zolis gets injured and then Martinelli all of a sudden is playing. Okay, cool. The start of the season on Friday, Eze kind of came on, and that's maybe like an indictment on him as a player, Martinelli, that a number 10 is being preferred on that side than you. And I'm all for it, to be honest with you, because when Eze plays on there, at least there's a level of technical security that you don't get with Martinelli. And that's the honest truth. The guy hasn't developed. He's like 24, 25, and he's still constantly with his head down when he has the ball. That chance against Forest last season, where it was effectively an open goal, guys, and he missed. And this is the guy that you want to lead our line this season, guys. Come on, he's not being disrespected. That's such a reach, and I don't like this narrative, because then Arsenal will be forced to kind of reconsider their options. No, do not reconsider your options. He's the right person to leave. The fact that we're looking at selling Ethan before him is even crazy for me to think about. Would Ethan feel disrespected? He has more of a case than Martinelli. He's a player that's come through the academy, signed a contract last season, was somehow or indirectly promised minutes, was loaned out at mid through last season, and now we're looking at loaning him out again, which is completely fine. But Martinelli has been given time, guys. Let's stop the act. 3 seasons of below average performances for Martinelli. He's gotten minutes. I'm pretty sure he's even in the 100 club in terms of appearances. He's had seasons upon seasons of just being crap. And I've been onto this guy. Obviously, I've not been on YouTube for long, but even that year where he was doing great, guys, even I could see this guy is not as good as people say. He just had one freak season. His technical level is just too low to be at an Arsenal football club, bearing in mind. Football is ruthless, I hear it. It is ruthless. So he's not being disrespected. He's just shit. Like, that's what it is. Like, he's just not good enough for Arsenal, and that is fine. He will find a club somewhere else, and hopefully that club comes in sooner rather than later, because we can't have him towards the start of this season. We need a better winger than that. Get Illiman and Die. Get someone who's a bit more hungry. He's way too comfortable. He's way too comfortable at Arsenal. He's on big boy contract. He's seen so many players walk through the door who have done way more than him, by the way. He's seen players like Aubameyang walk through that door. He's seen players like Ozil walk through that door. Who fans say they're underperformed and all these things. He has been given so much time and so much grace. It's time to move him on, and it should have been sooner, if we're being completely honest. The fact that we're here now with 1 year left of his contract, Arsenal are not renewing his contract. They might trigger the extension so they can get a bit more money, but it's time, guys, and that's completely fine. Trossard has come and gone. He's been at Arsenal less time than him, and I feel like Trossard should have stayed. Personally, I should have said Trossard should have stayed, but I agree. I'm not going to argue with someone and say that, oh, we should have not sold Trossard, because it was time to move Trossard on, and it's time to move Martinelli on. He's 22, 24, and doesn't look anywhere near a Premier League standard left winger. Him and Madueke on that side, along with Gyökeres, is among the worst front three in this league, if we're being honest, guys. And he's a big part of that. So, yeah, I hear people saying play him down the line. No, where he needs to play is Turkey. That's where he needs to play his season. However that ends, whether Arsenal want to do it nicely or kindly, he cannot be at Arsenal come this start of this window, start of this Premier League season, or end of this summer window. He can't be at Arsenal, guys. He's just not good enough, and that's the truth. But yeah, I'll end it there. And no, he's not been disrespected. I completely disagree. I feel like he's been given the time and the development by Arsenal for him to... He's been given a pathway. That left wing position has been... He's had that position on a chokehold for like 3 years. And every year we're left with the answer is we need a left winger. We need a left winger. If he's the third choice left winger, fine by me. Fine by me, but he can't be the second choice, and he's definitely not the first. His profile, can we still benefit off it if he doesn't stay, if he doesn't leave? Of course we can. He's quick and he's got something. However, if the option presents itself again in the window, 30, 40 million, take it Arsenal and get someone who's more hungry. His belly is full, and it shouldn't be full because we haven't won much, but he's way too comfortable at Arsenal. And for me, him and Jesus, I like Jesus, to be honest, but he also needs to bounce. And I'll leave it there, guys.